She was just a child when it began, a small figure with a dazzling on-screen smile that America embraced without knowing the storms she endured off-camera. A girl named Raven Simonet who grew up in the living rooms of millions, whose every laugh and innocent line delivery became a staple of the so-called golden age of family television. But behind that curtain of studio lights and sitcom laughter was a nightmare so suffocating it would haunt her for decades. And now, after years of silence, she is finally telling the truth. Not only about the pain she carried, but about the man who shaped and shattered lives in equal measure. The man the world once idolized as America's dad. The man who built his empire on forced hugs and canned laughter. The man whose reach was so deep in Hollywood that those who opposed him vanished without a trace. The man who, according to Raven, didn't just rob innocence. He orchestrated the destruction of people who dared to cross him, and one of those people was Malcolm Jamal Warner, the clean-cut face America adored as Theo Huxtable, the boy next door of The Cosby Show, who, in Raven's account, became a target the moment he stopped playing along. Raven recalls the threat that never left her bones, Cosby's words like ice against her ear. "You'll disappear like Malcolm." And then, just as he said, Malcolm was gone, swallowed by a drowning accident in Costa Rica that the headlines packaged neatly, cleanly, too quietly, without the messy details or unanswered questions that Raven knew were hiding underneath. She remembers the shift, how Malcolm began quietly distancing himself from Cosby's shadow, asking hard questions on set, pushing for transparency about production deals, probing into matters the other cast members dared not mention, and how this transformation from compliant co-star to vocal dissenter changed the way Cosby looked at him. No longer the smiling surrogate son, but a liability, a threat. Raven overheard a line that curdled her blood. "He's getting too loud. We might need to quiet him." At the time, she was too young to fully understand, but now, years later, she knows exactly what it meant. She paints a picture of a Hollywood where quieting someone was not metaphorical. It meant erasure, career death at best, actual death at worst. She describes the suffocating surveillance she endured, comments from strangers that revealed her private conversations had been overheard, blank notes slipped under her door to remind her, "We're watching," an invisible net of intimidation meant to break her will. Malcolm, meanwhile, left for what was supposed to be a peaceful family vacation, a chance to breathe. Yet days later, the world was told he drowned. The case closed with suspicious haste. The funeral rushed, the files sealed, and then came the phone call. Raven can't forget. Cosby's voice, low and cold, saying, "Now you understand what happens when people talk," before hanging up. That was when Raven's fear turned to fire. She vanished from Hollywood, cutting ties not to run away but to gather evidence, quietly building an arsenal of proof. Voicemails, backstage recordings, dates, names, and encrypted files Malcolm had once shown her. In her bombshell interview, she declared, "Cosby didn't just hurt me, he killed Malcolm." Whispers turned to screams as sources came forward, including an NBC archival insider who confirmed footage once existed of a heated on-set confrontation between Cosby and Malcolm just months before his death. Footage officially labeled corrupted but partially leaked online, showing Malcolm standing firm, Cosby jabbing a finger at him, his face twisted in rage. Raven says Malcolm kept a digital journal filled with voice memos, contracts, and a project he called his life insurance. But the day after his death, the files vanished from his devices, remotely accessed from an IP address in Los Angeles, just blocks from a property owned by a shell company tied to Cosby's attorney. A whistleblower now claims Malcolm was preparing to expose Cosby's production company for illegally funneling money using cast members' names without consent, and Raven's name was among them. She believes that was the final trigger, that Malcolm was silenced because he was ready to speak, ready to burn it all down. Her arsenal of evidence grows heavier. Metadata from a corrupted file Malcolm sent to Ice Cube days before his death. A chilling voicemail allegedly from Cosby warning someone to walk away. The last snippet of Malcolm's voice captured on Raven's phone, "I'm scared, but I can't stay quiet anymore," static swallowing the rest. As the internet erupts, hashtags trend, Reddit sleuths dissect details, TikTok reenactments spread like wildfire, and behind it all, Raven prepares to testify in a sealed civil case tied to Malcolm's estate, now shifting toward wrongful death. Autopsy anomalies emerge, conflicting times of death, missing toxicology samples, a 48-minute... The truth, Raven insists, is no longer a whisper carried in private phone calls. It is a tidal wave gathering force, ready to crash against decades of carefully constructed lies. And as her revelations detonate across the media landscape, Hollywood's silence morphs into outright panic, a scramble of deleted emails, scrubbed social media accounts, and legal threats designed to choke the narrative before it spreads too far. But the more they try to smother it, the louder it becomes. Because this isn't just her story. It's Malcolm's. It's every silenced voice behind the camera, and now even the people who once clung to Cosby's legacy are beginning to turn away, unwilling to go down with the ship. The letters arrive, 2 cease and desists, one from Cosby's legal team accusing her of defamation, another from a production house tied to the Cosby Show syndication demanding she stop false memory instigation. But Raven reads them on a live stream, her voice breaking yet steady, telling her audience, "They told me to smile, to keep the brand clean, but now I'm breaking the brand, I'm breaking him." And that's when the next shockwave hits. Tempest Bledsoe, the actress who played Vanessa Huxtable, appears on Instagram Live, sitting in silence for 10 long minutes before whispering, "Y'all don't know the half of it," and ending the feed, a cryptic act that feels like confirmation without saying the words, like a signal that she too carries secrets too dangerous to spill in full. Then comes the memo, an internal NBC legal document dated just 3 days after Malcolm's death. Its subject line reading, "Preemptive Narrative Strategy, Warner Vacation Incident," and its bullet points spelling out a playbook of damage control, confirm accidental drowning with local authorities, delay press inquiries, secure all Warner digital assets. Digital assets, meaning Malcolm's phone, his laptop, his journal, the same items Raven says vanished into thin air. A Costa Rican hotel worker has now confirmed that someone checked out Malcolm's room early using a master key card assigned to a visiting media representative whose name was redacted but whose signature matches that of a known NBC crisis manager. The coincidences pile higher. Raven never deleted Malcolm's old messages, including one sent 2 weeks before his death reading, "If I go quiet, it wasn't my choice. Tell ICE." ICE, as in Ice Cube, who sources say received encrypted files from Malcolm detailing shady finances and shell companies tied to Cosby's empire. Cube, having faced his own battles with Hollywood silencing, is now funding a private investigation. Former FBI agents, cybersecurity experts, even divers returning to the site of Malcolm's alleged drowning. The investigation reveals metadata from a corrupted file labeled Real, zip, created on Malcolm's missing MacBook Pro, the same one a storage worker claims he saw inside a metal briefcase marked with MJW initials, relocated for $30,000 cash from a unit linked to Cosby's ghost company, Pudding LLC. In another twist, an underground podcast airs an audio clip believed to be Cosby's voice warning someone, "This isn't a threat, it's advice. Walk away, don't let that girl get in your head. This isn't your story to tell." And that girl is believed to be Raven, implying Malcolm was preparing to stand beside her in exposing the rot beneath the facade. Raven plays a sliver of Malcolm's final voicemail during her live documentary teaser. "I'm scared, but I can't stay quiet anymore." Then static. Then nothing. His last words to her, frozen in time. Meanwhile, online detectives swarm over every scrap. Hashtags like "Justice for Malcolm," "Raven exposes Cosby," "Truth behind the curtain" trend as fans rewatch old episodes looking for tension, secret glances, moments of unscripted discomfort. The legal battlefield heats up as the civil case tied to Malcolm's estate pivots toward wrongful death, bolstered by autopsy anomalies, conflicting time of death records, missing toxicology reports, and a mysterious 48-minute surveillance blackout in the hotel hallway. Security logs show multiple master key entries into his room that night by an unidentified person, now the target of a digital scrub campaign. Raven's not stopping. She's aligning her testimony with Malcolm's mother, who steps into the spotlight for the first time in years to declare, "My son didn't die in an accident. He was silenced. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure the world knows who took him. Holding a photo of Malcolm in a red sweater, she tells the press he wore it in a dream Raven described to her. The same dream where Malcolm told Raven, "Don't forget me." "They'll try to erase me, but don't. Now the mission is clear. They will not forget, and they will not let the story fade into the Hollywood graveyard of unspoken truths." More witnesses are flipping, including a former show writer who claims 2 other cast members feared they'd go down if Malcolm talked. One has, "The world is no longer just watching. They're choosing sides because the lines have been drawn between those who protect the machine and those who want to dismantle it." And Raven, now branded both a hero and a traitor, depending on which network you watch, has moved into what she calls war mode, speaking in clipped, fire-laced sentences in back-to-back interviews, daring NBC, Cosby's legal army, and every studio executive who ever shook his hand to take her to court so she can, in her words, lay their bones bare. The shift happens when a deep storage journalist leaks 47 seconds of body cam footage from Costa Rican police on the night of Malcolm's death, footage the public was never supposed to see. The officer pans to a wet tile floor where a pair of men's shoes sit perfectly dry, their soles pristine, right beside a duffel bag zipped shut with what appears to be the corner of a laptop sleeve poking out. And in the background, someone mutters in English, "Get that out of here before the cameras roll." The clip goes viral in minutes, racking up 50 million views in 24 hours, shattering the tragic accident narrative and replacing it with a question so loud it drowns out PR spin. Who took the bag and why? Raven uses the chaos to drop another bombshell. A scanned page from Malcolm's journal dated 6 months before his death, written in block letters. "If you're reading this, I'm already gone. Cosby isn't working alone." The page is splattered with something that looks like coffee, but lab tests show it's blood diluted with water, and handwriting experts confirm it's authentic. Cosby's attorneys respond with a press conference, dismissing it as sensational fiction, but their lead counsel is interrupted mid-sentence by a reporter shouting, "Then why was Pudding LLC wiring $150,000 to a Costa Rican holding company the same day he died?" A question pulled straight from newly leaked bank records that match Raven's timeline to the hour. The internet detectives swarm again, mapping shell corporations, offshore accounts, and flight logs that show a private jet linked to one of Cosby's business partners landing in Costa Rica less than 12 hours before Malcolm's body was found. Meanwhile, Malcolm's mother releases a grainy voice recording she says was left on her home answering machine 2 nights before the drowning. A man's voice, shaky, whispering, "They're watching me. They know about the files. Tell her to run." Forensic audio analysts confirm the background hum matches the sound profile of Malcolm's home refrigerator. He was calling from inside his own kitchen. The grief on her face during the press conference is volcanic but controlled, and when she says, "They wanted him quiet. They got him gone," the clip floods TikTok with duets and reaction videos from fans, celebrities, and even retired FBI agents who smell cover-up. Ice Cube, no longer hiding his involvement, posts a cryptic black and white photo of a padlocked briefcase with the caption, "You can't burn what's already been copied." The streets of Los Angeles erupt in candlelight vigils, murals of Malcolm in that red sweater spreading like wildfire, painted on freeway underpasses, skate parks, and even the side of NBC's Burbank headquarters, where security guards hose the wall at dawn only for another mural to appear by nightfall. Then, without warning, TMZ drops a still image from unreleased surveillance footage showing Malcolm walking through the hotel lobby with a man whose face is blurred, but his hand, gnarled, ringed, and unmistakable, matches Cosby's right hand as seen in hundreds of public photos. Cosby's camp denies it's him, but the speculation is already a fire they can't put out, and hashtags like #TrineLobbygate and the hand trend worldwide. Raven teases that her documentary's final episode will feature the full, unblurred footage, but only if she makes it to release day alive. A statement so loaded it sends her fans into protective overdrive, with volunteer security teams shadowing her movements at public events. The FBI, under mounting public pressure, confirms a multi-agency task force is now investigating possible criminal acts tied to Malcolm's death, and while they don't name suspects, reporters note the glaring absence of Cosby's name from their denials. A whistleblower from inside NBC leaks an internal email chain discussing containment of Raven's content, with one chilling line from a vice president reading, "If she won't shut up, we'll make her." The fear in Hollywood is palpable. Contracts are being quietly torn up, syndication deals paused, and old colleagues are scrubbing Malcolm's name from their resumes like it's radioactive. But outside, in the raw air of public outrage, Malcolm's name is not just surviving, it's roaring. Raven ends a late-night Instagram live with one final promise, staring straight into the lens.